Hello, we good? Are we well? Yeah, kind of. That's just the kind of vibe I like. I should be up front with you guys. I recently went through quite a big breakup. And they say you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And it turned out for me, 95% of my material. Are you guys together? No? You guys together? How long have you guys been together? A year. My advice, give up, it's not worth it. Give up, it's not worth it, mate. I did what anyone else would do after a breakup. I got right back on the apps. It's mostly been Headspace, to be honest. I just want to feel. It's good to be here. It's lovely to be here. So I moved to Brighton after my breakup. My mum's quite old school, so when she found out, she was a little bit concerned. Do you know what I mean? She's like, oh, you're moving to Brighton, are you? Oh. Does that mean, like, are you rich now? And, no, Mum, you're still alive. Come on. Come on, that's not how any of this works. Brighton's a fun place to live. Before I moved there, people were like, oh, come down to live at Brighton. It's like living at a festival. And it is, but every day is day 5 of that festival. You're walking around being like, is someone going to take out these bins? Does anyone have a job or a shower? It's quite intense. It's the only place in the country as well that's run by the seagulls. Oh my God, the seagulls down there are bigger than some of the places I've lived in. They are massive. The other day, I genuinely saw a seagull coming out of Pure Gym. It's like, you need a code to get in and out of Pure Gym. What's it working on? Do you know what I mean? It's pecs? Okay. One clapper is sadder than no clappers. It's good. I grew up more in the countryside, though. I grew up in a place called Gloucester. Has anyone ever been? Why? Your grandparents lived there. Is that because they went there to die? That's why. It's a bad place, man. It's not a good place. My mum sort of lives on the outskirts in like rural Gloucestershire, and I don't know if anyone grew up in the country, but whenever I go home, it kind of feels like I'm trying to be recruited back into the cult. She always goes, oh, take your shoes off, grow some vegetables. You know what I mean? It's a bit weird. Like the last time she picked me up from the train station, and then we drove back to the house for like 7 hours. And then it was night time when she picked me up, and we shut the car doors, and she just looked at the sky and was like, oh, you don't get those in the city, do you? Don't get stars. I was like, what are you on about? And then she just stared and was just like, oh, don't they make you feel insignificant? I was like, what? No, Mum, you live in the countryside. You are insignificant. It's a big difference. All of my family live out there. I don't get on with my mum's sister. I hate my mum's sister with all of my heart. You laugh, but you haven't met her. She's awful. She married into money really early, and she's never worked. And what she does with her spare time is she likes to come down to London when all the anti-abortion rallies are on and hold up signs and, berate people. And I think that's pretty gross. And recently it was her 50th birthday. And I had to go back and socialise with the woman because the inheritance is obviously there at some point. And I don't really know how to get on with her, I don't really know what to say, so I'm just like, oh, well, how does it feel turning 50? She's like, oh, well, you know what they say, life begins at 50. I said, well, I think you've got some placards to change then. The only upside to living in Gloucester is we've got, basically, British culture's based in Gloucester. We've got the cheese rolling. Oh, we've got fans in? Yes. Cheese rolling is amazing. Basically, we've got this really steep hill called Cooper's Hill. And every year, a bunch of adults line up at the top of this hill. And then a big fat man in a hat recites a nursery rhyme and throws a wheel of double Gloucester cheese down the hill. Then all the adults at the top go feral for the cheese, throw themselves down the hill, and the first person to the bottom gets to keep the cheese. Second place gets money. Just come second, buy some sturdier cheese. It's a health and safety nightmare, though. In 2014, it got cancelled because 17 spectators got hit by a rogue cheese. Just sent them dominoing down the hill. And so we've had to do loads of things to try and make it safer. Like for the 10 years before that, at the bottom of the hill to catch all the participants, we just used to have a net. But she's had to retire now. And, okay. 95% of my material was lost. And it's worth remembering. I have started going on dates again. I recently went on a date with a French lady because English girls have learnt, I think. And I tell you what, we got on really well, but she didn't really get my sense of humour, so I think some of you really would have got on. We're having a drink outside a bar in Brighton, and we're chatting away. Then all of a sudden, this really big Range Rover pulls up right outside. It's blaring music. There's a young guy driving it, doing the 12 o'clock hands, not the 10 and 2, so you know he's a bad boy. And my date turns to me and goes, "Oh, this guy's clearly making up for something." I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" She's like, "Well, the bigger the car, the smaller the penis." I was like, "Well, in that case, I don't want to brag, but I don't have a driving license." Oh, yeah. And then I got to walk her home and disappoint her. Okay. It's good. It's fun growing up in Gloucester. My first ever job was at Clinton Cards. Any fans? And oh my God, I love that job so much because you'd see like the whole spectrum of the human race in there. My favorite day to work was Valentine's Day because at 1 minute to closing time, you get hit with a tidal wave of like 23 to 35-year-old men. And we'd always lock the door a little bit early. You know what I mean? Just lock the door a little bit early, just to be met. You know when you're driving and they're like, well, I don't have a driving license. But you know, just insects hitting the car windshield. They just hit the front glass. And like, "I need a card, please! Please, I just need a card, please! I'll do anything, the one you've got in your hand, please! Please, I've got cash, it's 2008, just slide under the door, please! Please!" And we'd just be on the other side like, "I know how your night's going, mate." And then the best thing is these front doors had a big metal shutter on the front that shut so slowly. So we just sort of take it in turns to just sort of wander over and go like, boop. And then watch these men slowly disappear, like, "Please, I just need a card, please. Please, I'll do anything, please. Please, you don't know what she's like, please. It's 2008, you can say that about a woman, please. Please." Please! And of course, we're just on the other side like... It's good fun. I didn't always want to be a comedian. Thank you. When I was younger, what I wanted to be the most was an athlete, an elite athlete, and I thought that was where my... Did someone laugh at that? Fucking hell. Jesus. Do you know what? But, you've got to accept sometimes that it's not the way it's meant to be. But as I've gotten older, I'm kind of glad I didn't go down that route, do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's become less about the sports nowadays and more about their personalities, and I don't necessarily agree with that. And I think the best example of this in the last 10 years is Chris Anderson, isn't it? What a piece of shit he's become online. Like, yeah, I get it, mate. You've got 10 world records and 2 Guinness titles, but I don't think that gives you any right to sort of flaunt your wealth on Instagram. I think you should be a better role model for kids and try and encourage uptake in the sports to sort of, Okay, this is my big finale, and it's never gone badly, actually. Never. Okay. I feel like I'm having a stroke up here. We just big fans? I don't understand. You're smiling at me like you've done this on purpose. Sweating. You a big fan of Chris Anderson? Who's Chris Anderson? Am I being set up here? Who's Chris Anderson? 10-time world record holder Chris Anderson? The cheese roller. And I thought London was cultured. Guys, this has been an absolute pleasure. My name's been Dan Jones. Enjoy the rest of your night. Goodbye.